So, picture this. It's 2000.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You've been waiting for however long at your local polling station in Florida to vote for either of the then two presidential candidates. Next! Hello. One ticket for democracy, please. Alright, ma'am, here you go. I'm a guy. Are you sure? Oh! Alright, thank you for participating in our democracy. Next! You are given a ballot in which you poke a hole next to the candidate that you want to vote for. You do as instructed, turn in the ballot, and you don't think much more about it after the fact. On election night, it's shown that the election is a tight race. Al Gore is in the lead with 255 electoral votes, and George W. Bush is behind 246 electoral votes. It all comes down to the swing state of Florida's 25 electoral votes, which would give either candidate an automatic win. However, it's revealed that Florida was too close to call, which triggered an automatic recount.
And tonight, you're saying it's too close to call.
Stand by. CNN right now is moving our earlier declaration of Florida back to the too close to call column. This no longer is a victory for Vice President Gore. We're moving it back.
And it does seem likely tonight that who wins the state of Florida will win the presidency.
After the automatic recount, Bush was in the lead in Florida by less than 1,000 votes. This small difference made the Gore campaign demand a manual recount in 4 main counties in Florida. After the manual recount, only 2 out of the 4 counties made it to the November 26th deadline to hand in the results. Even though only 2 out of the 4 counties turned in the results, Bush's lead became even smaller. This caused the Florida Supreme Court to order a statewide manual recount with little guidance to ballot counters as to how to recount them.
This is really something that's very unique, to have a crowd with such anticipation outside of an appeals court.
The Circuit Court shall order a manual recount of all undervotes in any Florida county where such a recount has not yet occurred. Because time is of the essence, the recount shall commence immediately.
As mentioned before, many counties in Florida use punch card ballots to punch out which candidate the voter would vote for. The tabs that were punched out of the paper were called a chad. The way that it was supposed to work, as mentioned before, to punch out the hole next to the candidate that you would vote for. Some of the voters in Florida failed to fully punch out the chad completely out of the paper and would leave what would be later coined as a hanging chad. And the concept of hanging chads was just too complex for the average ballot counter Floridian mind to handle. Ugh. Oh, brain hurty. This quickly drew up many problems of if the hanging chad would be counted as a vote or not. There were no statewide regulations that said how hanging chads should be dealt with, which led to problems such as counties counting hanging chads and other counties not counting them. The deadline to manually recount was quickly approaching, and Bush's lawyers had asked the Supreme Court to intervene. The Supreme Court agreed and stopped the Florida recount. The Supreme Court then had a vote on whether to give Bush the state of Florida for the election or not. And on December 12, 2000, with a 5-4 vote, Bush was finally declared the next president of the United States of America. The Bush versus Gore majority held that the Florida recount procedures violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which requires that the state not value one person's vote over that of another. 2 of the court justices in the Supreme Court, Justice Soter and Justice Breyer, who were on the opposing side, thought that the U.S. court should send this case back to the Florida Supreme Court with instructions for how to cure the problem, like they would usually do. However, the 5 conservative justices decided that there wasn't enough time to fix the recount process and to complete it, so Bush was elected. The ruling of Bush versus Gore is still very controversial to this day due to the mentality of everybody's vote counting not really being true, and only one person's vote counting in the Supreme Court